Hi everyone, Jay here as always with some recommendations and modifications for ways in which we're going to adapt our CrossFit linchpin workouts for kids. I'm going to take a closer look at two workouts again today. I'm going to start off with Wednesday the 2nd of March. So the workout will be 2 rounds, 1 minute per station for max reps of deadlift, bar facing burpee with a 2 minutes rest, a push jerk and a row for calories with another 2 minutes rest. Now, the reason I've chosen to take a closer look at this workout is I think these sort of interval workouts with some structured rest in there, they fit and work really nicely in kids' classes. When I was coaching kids' classes at an affiliate, I often would put in sort of intervals with structured rest in there. That helped me manage the quality. It gave me opportunities to talk to the children about if there is something I needed them to focus on with a certain movement, and it gave me lots of opportunities to praise them. So for our advanced kids today, we're going to take 3 rounds of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. You've seen me use these sort of timings before when we're doing sort of interval work. Kettlebell sumo deadlift. We looked at the kettlebell sumo deadlift last week, but I've got a video looking at that again. I've also got a video there of the unloaded deadlift. We sometimes call it an angry griller. And again, just to recap, we're using the kettlebell sumo deadlift because we don't want the bar getting in the way of the children and them having to move themselves around an object to get their points of performance. It's just an easier movement to learn. And when they're a bit older and they're a bit more emotionally mature, you can start using the barbell in there. And then you'd probably start again with a sumo deadlift and then move on to a traditional deadlift. I've got a burpee in here. I've just adapted the bar facing burpee to a normal burpee, really just for safety. I think children absolutely should be jumping over things and should have a little element of risk in there when they're doing their workouts. But just because we've got a few layers of complexity in here, I've decided just to keep it as a burpee, and also so I don't have to worry about teaching them another thing when we've got 2 more complex movements in this workout. I've got a dumbbell push jerk, so for the same reason that we're not using a barbell for the deadlifts, we're just going to think about getting the movement pattern right, getting those finishing positions in the right place before we add that barbell where the children have to move their head out of the way for that barbell. And then in place of the row, as I've mentioned before, I think that getting the children to run as often as possible is a great thing to do. So I've got a 10-meter shuttle sprint, 30 seconds on, and then they'd use the 30 seconds off to transition to the next exercise. Now, I've got 3 rounds here. As always, if you find that the children are fatiguing, if they're losing focus, cut it at 2. If you feel like that's not enough for your children, by all means, go up 4 or 5 rounds even. For some of your children that are closer to their teens. And I mean, if you've got some children that are close to teens, they'll be working closer to this workout anyway. For our less experienced and no equipment, it's going to be the same option there. We've got 2 to 3 rounds, but again, if you've got an older child with no equipment, you might be looking at 4 to 5 rounds, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. We've got an angry griller, so that's our unloaded deadlift. I've got a video showing you that. Again, a burpee. Now, here I've got a handstand hold, just because I'm thinking about those themes that we like to cover in our CrossFit Kids workouts of stimulating that vestibular system, getting the children upside down as often as possible. Alternatively, you could have a press in there. Now, the reason I've got a press instead of a push jerk, I'm assuming that our children are less experienced and they're still working on those primary foundational movements instead of moving on to those secondary, say the push press, or even those tertiary pressing movements such as the push jerk. So a little bit less complexity, especially because there's quite a bit of coaching to go on here with your children. And again, we've got a shuttle sprint, which would be over 10 meters. For Tuesday's workout, whenever it's a running workout, I like to make them a relay. So with my 2 children, there'll be a you go, I go. For this one, I would often do a running workout for time. Something as a team, can you do this? Can you get better next time we do a workout like this? Whereas a workout like this, I'm not counting reps in this, or if it was, say, we did a variation of Fran for our children, I'm looking for quality of movement instead of for time. So here I've got a you go, I go, run 100 to 200 meters, depending on where your children are at. And then it'll be one person runs it, maybe an up and back, tags the partner back in, and then you repeat that 8 times each. And then because it's quite a simple single modality monostructural, I've got in here some skill accessory work. And we've gone through these videos a few times where we've got the bar progressions or the handstand progressions I've shown you, or even those plank progressions. Look back through some of the older videos for some of those. When we have a look at the push jerk, I'm going to talk to you about where my son was finding things a bit difficult, and you might see that in some of his movements in the workout demos. Hope you enjoy hitting these workouts this week, and hope you're having fun in the open. My children have certainly had fun doing that workout. It's 1-0 to my daughter out of the 4 of us, between myself, my wife, and my 2 children. Yeah, my daughter won that one. So good luck with the open and enjoy this workout, guys. For the kettlebell sumo deadlift, the main points that I was focusing on here with my son is making sure that his ankles were lined up with the handle of the kettlebell, and that of course he had a flat back. He maintained his lumbar curve throughout the movement. We call it an angry gorilla back. Give him a reference point for them. And you can see on the side profile that he manages to do that quite well. Once I'd done that with him, I really focused on him pushing his bum back a bit further, so his shoulders are a bit more over, sort of more akin to a deadlift rather than that sort of squat pattern. And of course, for an unloaded deadlift or an angry gorilla, we're looking at exactly the same points of performance. He's looking to get his fingertips to touch the floor between his ankles, and he's maintaining an angry gorilla back or a neutral lumbar curve, as you might be more familiar with that term. Not really too much to say about the burpee, other than we go hands down, then kick the feet back, and then we hinge up rather than squat. So he keeps his hips high as he brings his hands back to his feet, and then it's a jump and clap. This is an exercise I really do encourage intensity. Now, for the dumbbell push jerk, we actually spent a lot of time working on this skill, and we picked out a point that was, I guess, of most need, and that was Jonah's dip. And you'll see on a photo that I show you after this that he was hinging quite far forwards, and you'll see from the line that I show you, and you can see that his push jerk is by all means not perfect, but there is absolutely an improvement. And my sort of go-to is it the same, is it better, or is it worse? Now, looking back at the videos, possibly it could have been a bit too heavy for him. Also, I probably might have focused on the finish position before the dip. You know, much like the burpee, whenever there's running involved in a workout, I always encourage the children to push the intensity. And as you can see, our small little alleyway beside our house, you know, you don't need very much room to get them to, you know, get a really good, intense sort of dose for the running. We did 10-meter shuttles for about 30 seconds.